Welcome back to Everyday Adventures in Cooking with Rick. Today is a special day. It's Mother's Day. But we're also still in quarantine, so I'm making for my wife a special dinner, which was one of her favorite dishes that I used to make back when we were dating, which is chicken parm with spaghetti on the side. So this is something she always looked forward to. This is really an Italian-American kind of dish. We were fortunate enough to go to Italy. Never saw it on a menu in Italy anywhere. So obviously this is, I think, something that originated here in the US. So what we're going to make is our chicken cutlets with a side of spaghetti. So the first thing we're going to get started on, what I want to start is our sauce. Get that cooking, then we can prepare our cutlets. So when you're ready, let's start making this dish. Okay, so let's put our sauce together. Very simple marinara sauce that we're going to make. Let me get my pan started, warming up on kind of a medium-low heat. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put some garlic. So I didn't go over the ingredients for this. I forgot. So we're going to do it now. So for the sauce, it's really simple. It's going to be garlic, just a little bit of onion, our whole peeled tomatoes. I don't have any fresh basil, so I'm using the frozen pesto that I make every year from the garden. I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. So here I'm going to go 3 cloves of garlic. And we're just going to chop that up and start that in our pan. You don't want to, I always say this, you don't want to burn the garlic. You just want to get the flavors out, heat it up. You don't want it to turn bitter. So we're going to put a little bit of olive oil in our pan, just to coat the bottom. Going to put our garlic in there. Again, we're just trying to heat that up, just trying to get the flavors out. I'm going to cut up our onion, just a little bit of onion, add a little sweetness to the sauce. Cut that up. Going to add that to the pan. We just want to cook those just for a few minutes, like I said, just to heat them up and get those flavors out. Then we're going to add our tomatoes. And for tomatoes, I'm using whole peeled tomatoes. When I make a marinara sauce, I like it to be chunky. I like the chunks of tomato. So that's what we're going to use. And then we're going to use our frozen pesto. So every year from the garden, when I have all the basil at the end, I turn it into pesto and I freeze it. And that way I can use that pesto all year long. I can make just pasta with pesto, or I can make add it to the sauce for my basil flavor. A lot of things you can do with it. So let's let this cook for a minute or so, and we'll be right back. All right, so now I'm going to add the onions and garlic. Have been cooking for a minute or so. I can really smell it in the kitchen now, so I know it's time to put our tomatoes in. So I'm just going to put these in just like this, a couple cans of the whole peeled tomatoes. If you don't like the chunks, go ahead and use puree or crushed or diced or whatever you like. I'm going to put those in. I'm going to rinse out the cans with some water. Probably the equivalent of 1 full can of water I'm adding to that, because this is going to cook for a little while. We're going to add that water in there. I'm going to add my pesto. If you have fresh basil or even dried basil, that's fine too. I'm going to use my pesto. I'm going to add just a little bit of salt, maybe a teaspoon or so of salt. And a little bit of black pepper, ground black pepper. And that's it for the sauce, and we're going to let that cook. All right, so now we've got our sauce going, and now we're going to get our chicken cutlets ready. So, again, I forgot to talk about the ingredients before, so we did the sauce. For the chicken cutlets, I like to keep it simple. These are plain breadcrumbs. I don't like to buy the seasoned ones. I don't know what's in there. I want to put my own in. So in this, I'm going to add to the breadcrumbs, I'm going to add some garlic powder. And I know, unfortunately for this, I don't have measurement. It's just some breadcrumbs. Put some garlic powder in there. If I had fresh parsley, I would put it in there, but I don't. So we're going to put some parsley flakes in there. We're going to put a little ground black pepper. I'm not going to put salt in it. Forgot one ingredient. Because I'm going to be putting Pecorino Romano cheese in there, which is nice and salty. Why am I getting looks from the camera lady?
Your head was cut off.
It's okay. So I'm going to put a couple of scoops of Pecorino cheese in there. Then we're just going to mix this together. Now I've got a pan, cast iron pan, use whatever pan you have, with some oil in it. We're going to start that heating up. I also have a pot of boiling water getting ready for the pasta, but I don't think I need to give directions on that. So we've got our breadcrumbs mixed up now. Beautiful. Okay. We've got flour, just plain all-purpose flour. We've got our cutlets. Now, my wife likes the cutlets nice and thin. So, I'm getting the head nod there that yes, she likes them on the thin side. So what I'm going to do, you can buy thin cut cutlets. Again, because of the situation we're in now, I had these cutlets, didn't feel like going out to the store. They're not too thick, but what I'm going to do is I put them in a bag. I think I can do 2 in here. This keeps the chicken juices from flying all over the kitchen. So we're just going to put them in this bag. Close it up. And just pound them out a little bit, make them a little thinner. When you do this, try and make them consistent so that they cook the same. Once you have them pounded out, then you go first into your flour. Do the flour first because that helps the egg stick. Then from the flour, we go to our egg mixture. And this is just eggs. I'm sorry, today I'm not with it, I guess. This is just eggs and a little bit of water. Mixed up. Then from our egg into our breadcrumbs. Get those breadcrumbs on there. I like to kind of press it down, get them to stick. Let's do our other one. And the flour. And our egg. Right into our breadcrumbs. Move this one out of the way. You know, sometimes as prepared as you think you are, not always prepared, but that's okay. This is going to be a delicious dinner, something we actually haven't had in a while. I used to make this all the time. Now we're going to come over and put these into our frying pan. Okay, so now I've got a 1/4 inch of oil or so in the pan. I've got the pan hot on like a medium heat. Put that cutlet right in there. Look at that. I also have my oven on at 350 because I'm going to cook these and put them in the oven to finish cooking. I don't want to burn the outside. I want the breadcrumbs to be browned. All right, because these are a little thicker, they're probably not going to cook all the way through up here, and I'll finish them in the oven. So while this is cooking, I'm going to go finish up the other bread cutlets. Okay, so our last piece of chicken is done. It's brown on both sides. Beautiful. So now I'm just going to take these. Again, they're a little thicker, so I'm going to take these and put them in the oven at 350 just to finish off cooking while I'm getting the pasta ready. Okay, so we just put our chicken in the oven. I've got the water here, which is already boiling for our pasta. Let's take a quick look at the sauce. Look at that. How's that? You can see the nice, what I do, because I like the chunks in there, I just kind of press, now that they've cooked for a little while, the tomatoes have softened up. So I just kind of press them up against the side to break them up a little bit. But again, leaving those chunks because we all love those. Now let's go get ready for the pasta. All right, so while the chicken's in the oven kind of finishing off, the sauce is cooking, I'm going to do something a little different tonight. My wife usually doesn't like when I say that, but I've got some beautiful ricotta cheese here, and I'm going to make a little pesto ricotta to put on top of the pasta, just to fancy it up a little bit. It is Mother's Day, you know, so to do just a little something special for Mom. So I'm going to take part of this container of ricotta, some of this pesto that from my garden. All right, put that in there. We're just going to mix this up. And after the pasta's done, we're going to put this right on the top. Oh yeah. I love it. She's laughing at me again. Every time I say, my wife thinks that's funny. All right, whatever. I don't have to finish cooking this meal now.
Just cook.
Just cook. Yeah, now she's like, yeah, just cook. All right. So again, this. Now, if you make this, and you make crostini sometime, and just put this on there as an appetizer, it's fantastic. All right. So there we go. We've got that ready for after. Now, for the mozzarella, you can use any kind of mozzarella you want. I like to get more of a I don't really care for the pre-shredded mozzarella. They add stuff to it so that it doesn't cake up, and I don't think it's as good as if you just buy a good mozzarella. So what I'm going to do here is just shave this off into thin slices. That's going to go on top of the chicken. So it can melt on top of the chicken. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put our pasta in the water. The pasta is going to take, 8 minutes to 10 minutes, somewhere in there. And then, while that's starting to cook, I'll put the cheese on because the cheese won't take long to melt. And we'll be ready to go. So I have my water boiling. A little bit of salt in the water. Now all I'm using here, and you see me make fresh pasta all the time, but today I decided just to go with a plain spaghetti, my wife's favorite. Put that right in. Beautiful. I'm going to let that cook. Now, we're going to grab our chicken. Okay, guys, don't seem to be very organized today. And we're just going to put some of this fresh mozzarella on the top. Couple more slices. Put this back in the oven to get that cheese to melt. Don't forget to stir your pasta so it doesn't stick. We'll be back in about close to 10 minutes when this is all ready to plate. So our pasta's done cooking. It's a little al dente, a little on the hard side, which we like. We're going to strain that over here. Don't mind the noise. My wife's going to get mad, but she's not showing me now because the sink's a mess. All right. So we've got our pasta.
Actually did show you.
Okay. Now, we're going to add a little bit. Sorry for all the walking in front of the camera. We're going to add some of our sauce into that. This is such a classic, simple dish. Look at that. A little bit of cheese on there. Now our cutlets. Oh, look at that. Now we're going to put this onto our dish. Top that with a little bit of sauce. I don't know if you can see that. Wow. Again, this meal is just so simple, but so good. We're going to take some of our pasta. We're going to add just a little bit more sauce. I'm going to put a little bit of that pesto ricotta on the top. A chicken cutlet. A little bit of cheese on that cutlet. And there we go, look at that. Chicken Parmesan with a side of pasta with some pesto ricotta on the top. I'm just going to cut into that chicken here. That is really good. And the pasta, you get a little bit of that ricotta on there. Perfect. Excuse me for talking about my mouthful. Everything came out perfect. Actually, really simple meal, easy to make. My wife's favorite. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, especially now, being stuck at home all day with your lovely children, trying to teach them and be mother and work. So a salute to all the moms out there. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.